Number one, my name is Paul Rush. I'm the head coach here. I'm going into my third year as a head coach. This is my fifth year overall coaching college basketball. Prior to that, I was coaching high school basketball here in the Treasure Valley. I actually started out as a sophomore assistant, so didn't start very high on the coaching rung, and then have had the opportunity to keep moving up to sophomore head coach, JV head coach, varsity assistant, varsity head coach, college assistant, and now college head coach. And so part of my journey and the part that I'd share with you guys is wherever you're at right now, you're not done, right? Like wherever you're at with your game right now, wherever you're at as a basketball player right now, you're not done. You're in progress. I'm looking at your faces, and I'm used to looking at our guys that some of them kind of look like you. They're in that 18, 19-year-old range. A year ago, they were in high school. Now they're freshmen. But then I got other guys. We got two guys that we joke. They're from Africa. We joke they're 30. I mean, their birth certificates say they're 22 and 21, but they're grown men. And I'm looking at your faces, and you're not a grown man yet or woman. You're still in progress, right? You're not done yet. And that's easy to think when we're talking about being old enough to get your driver's license for some of you guys, being old enough to graduate high school, go to college. Like, you know you're not old enough for that stuff, but at the same time, we don't always have patience with our game, right? One of my favorite quotes, and I've tried to look it up because I assumed it was from somebody really smart, but I really think it's just from a Jordan commercial about 8-10 years ago. It's one of my favorite quotes. It says, I have something more important than courage. I have something more important than courage. I have patience. I am not yet who I know I will become. We talk with our guys this year. You got to believe in who you are. You got to believe in the final version of yourself. That's true for us as a team. Like right now, it's October. We're practicing. We're going to leave next week. We're going to fly down and go play University of Wyoming, Mountain West team. We're a Division II team. And we're not going to be the version of ourselves that we want to be. Last year, we were able to play a Division I team and beat a Division I team. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. Last year, that was in December. This year, it's in October. We're not going to be the best versions of ourselves right now. We're not done, right? We're not the final versions of ourselves, and that's true for you guys. You're not the final version of yourself, and you're not going to be for a couple years. Raise your hand if you're a senior. You've still got a long ways to go. As a senior, you might have had some benchmarks laid out for yourself. You might have wanted to have an offer from Duke, Gonzaga, and UCLA, and you were going to pick between those three, right? That might have been your goal when you were in junior high, and right now, you might not have a college offer, but you're not done. You're still in progress. You've still got a long way to go, and you've still got a lot of time to do it. And you've got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and clearly evaluate what you've done to this point, but then take control of what you're going to do tomorrow and what goals you're going to set tomorrow, where you're going to go tomorrow, and understand that you're fully in control of tomorrow, and be looking at yourself in the mirror and say, this is not the final version of myself. I'm happy with who I am right now. You don't need to be disappointed or frustrated with who you are right now. You can be happy with who you are right now, but know that tomorrow's a new day, and I'm going to grind, I'm going to put in the time, I'm going to put in the effort to get better tomorrow. And I'm going to set another benchmark for myself, and whether I reach that benchmark or not, I'm still in progress. I'm still not done. I'm still not the final version of myself. Chris Allen's sitting over there, and he didn't hit his best basketball until he was like 28. He wasn't done even as a great college player at LCSC. He kept improving, right? You don't have to be done right now because you didn't get the offer from Duke, UCLA, and whatever school I said a second ago. I can't remember what it was. Gonzaga, there we go. You don't have to be done. You can reestablish your benchmarks and focus on tomorrow. We work with our guys. We set goals every week. And not just set goals, but we set goals that they're going to accomplish within the next 7 days. And then we sit down with them and they write out their plan for the next 7 days to make sure they're going to hit their goals. Because if they say, I want to make 500 shots a day, when are you doing that? Is it before school? Is it after school? Is it before practice? Is it after practice? Is it before your study group, whatever's going on that night? Because if you don't schedule the next 7 days out and you set that benchmark here, I want this to happen for myself, but you're not focused on what's getting done tomorrow, the next day, for the next 7 days, you don't stand a chance. Life's going to happen. Some girl's going to slide you a DM. You're going to get totally distracted, forget to get up and get shots. That was your goal. It's not going to happen. 6 days later, I haven't gotten any shots up this week. Right? And so being able to clearly evaluate yourself on where you're at in that progress is really important, but also being able to clearly look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm not done. I'm still working. I might have screwed up the last 7 days after I got distracted by the DM, but I'm getting the next 7 right. We set those goals with our guys. They don't get them right every week, but they're working towards it. Guys at our level, we've been fortunate. In the last 5 years, we've had 8 of our seniors go on and play professionally. That's out of 14 guys that have graduated, right? And so we've had a lot of guys that have had the chance to play professional basketball after leaving here, and almost all the guys on our team write that down as their goal. I want to play professional basketball. I want to get paid to play the game. And then they've got to work for the next 7 days. And they don't get it right, but we talked to them about the same thing. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in who you are in here, in the final version of yourself, even when it doesn't look like it in the mirror, even when it doesn't look like it on the box score, even when it doesn't look like it on the varsity JV sophomore freshman list that gets posted in about a month here. 3 weeks probably, right? That's not the final version of myself, and I'm not going to let that define myself. That box score is not going to define myself. What team I'm on is not going to define myself. What's going to define myself is the patience I have to become who I know I am. You guys hear me on that? It takes patience because it's a process. You got to stay committed to the process. You got to be patient with the process. I'm watching some of you guys that I watched play this spring, and I didn't see from last spring till now. And I was telling some of the coaches, man, he's improved a lot. His game's made a big jump. And you might not see it because you're there every day, but for me, I haven't seen you play for a while, and I'm like, that's impressive. I love the work that this kid's put in. He's making progress. I'm tracking that kid. I'm staying with that kid because I know his ceiling's going to do this. So let me translate that into our recruiting process. Like Coach said, my job, I get paid to coach basketball, which is a beautiful thing. But the thing that makes it a full-time job for me is I got to recruit guys to come here. Part of that recruiting process is evaluation. When I took the job, I told the athletic director here, I want to change the culture at this school. NNU was really good. It was a powerhouse at the NAIA level. In the early 2000s, they went Division II. There's a significant jump from NAIA to Division II. And when they went Division II, they went from being a powerhouse to being towards the bottom of the league. And then they'd kind of, best years, they'd be about a 500 team. That means, win 13, 14 games. Bad years, they'd win 7, 8, 10 games. And so when I got the head coaching job, I said, I want to change the culture here. All the coaches before me had done it through bringing in junior college guys, trying to find the best athletes, best players, plug them in and see if they could get it done that year. The last 2 coaches before me brought in a ton of international guys. When I came here as an assistant, we had 9 guys on our team that were international players out of 13. And so I went to the athletic director. I said, I want to do this by recruiting high character, tough, high motor high school kids. And I want to build our culture. I want to build this program around those guys. And then I want those guys to develop. They're not going to be good enough when they come in as freshmen. They're probably not going to be good enough as sophomores or redshirt freshmen. But those guys, if they're high character, if they have a high motor and they're tough, here's what I know is going to happen with them. If they're high character, that means they're mature enough that they sit down and they plan out that week and they make it a priority to get in the gym. They don't get distracted by the DM constantly. They don't get distracted by other stuff that goes on a college campus. They're able to focus and prioritize what needs to get done in the classroom and on the court. And so I know they're going to get better. And then I want tough kids. I want guys, when we talk about tough with our team, we don't talk about elbows and box outs. We talk about mental toughness in terms of how we respond to adversity. And so I want guys that respond to adversity the right way, because when they come here and they're not good enough, they're going to face more adversity than they've faced their whole life. We brought in some freshmen 2 years ago. We had 6 freshmen. All 6 were all-state players. 2 were state players of the year. 5 of them redshirted, 1 of them played. So they went from being the best players in their state, that was from 4 different states, best players in their state, to not playing, not being good enough to play. That's a lot of adversity. And so I need guys that know how to respond to adversity, because if they have high character, they know how to respond to adversity, and they got a high motor. When we talk about high motor, when I'm watching you play, I want to see what happens on a loose ball. I want to see what happens when a shot goes up. Do you offensive rebound every time? What do you do in transition? What kind of effort do you put in transition? Because I know a guy that's got a high motor, that's hard to turn off, right? It's hard to turn that thing off. And a guy that's got high character, that mental toughness, response to adversity, and a high motor, his career is going to do this. And so I told our AD I want to recruit those guys, and it's going to take a couple years, but we're going to build this thing into a national powerhouse around guys that careers are going to do this, because they're high character, high motor, and they're tough. And so that's what we recruit. When I'm out recruiting, when our coaches are out recruiting, we talk about this all the time. That's a conversation. Man, I know that kid can hoop, right? I know he can do this and this and this and this, but how did he go board? We have a freshman right now that had one other Division II offer that I'm convinced will end up being an all-conference player, potentially more than that. High character. When I was watching him on tape, I only got to see him play a couple games live, and then I watched tape, and I watched about 4 games. And somewhere between first and second half of the third game I was watching, he did an offensive rebound. And I thought to myself, that's the first time I've seen this kid not offensive rebound in almost 3 full games. And I decided right there, we're doing a home visit, we're going to go offer this kid, that's a kid we want to recruit. His skill level was good, not great. He's got like a 6'10" wingspan, so he had some intangibles there. But the fact that he was going at the old boards is what made us go from him being on our board, on our list, to him being, let's go fly down there, do a home visit, and offer him. Because, and then what happened on the home visit is I found out this kid made dinner for his mom, who was a nurse, single mom. She'd work a 12-hour shift. He'd have dinner ready for her when she got home. I heard that and I was sold. That's a high-character kid. I already know he's got a high motor. Talked to his coach, saw his mental toughness in terms of how he was leading his team. His best player on his team, really high academic high school, not a great team. I saw his character, I saw his mental toughness there. That's the kid we want to recruit. And I'm telling you, after him being on our campus, being in college practices and college workouts for the last month and a half, he's going to be really good because he's got those intangible things. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. He landed on our board because we're out watching basketball, and his skill level was high enough that we went, that kid can play. I'm not sure if he's at our level or not. We need to figure out where he's at, but he can play. So you got to be good enough. That's honest to God. You can have a high motor, you can be high character, you can have great mental toughness. If you're not good enough, we're probably still not going to recruit you. So your skill level's got to be high enough, right? But once we had, anybody can do what we do as far as identifying talent. I really think that's pretty easy. You walk in a gym, you watch 100 people play for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you can start identifying talent pretty quickly. Ability to finish, ability to knock down a shot, defensive, lateral speed, handle with the ball, all those things, passing, vision, IQ. Those are easy to see. Then we got to move past that because any coach in the country can do that. And we end up recruiting the same kids a lot of times if we don't move past that into the kid that we really value. I'm going to give you another kid. We got a kid that was a freshman 2 years ago. He had one other Division II offer. It was us and one other place. I watched this kid. I was at a game, and some of you have heard me tell this story because this is a great story. I was at a game because somebody else had told me about a kid, 6'5", long, strokes it, got the body, got the bounce. Went and watched him. I'm sitting there with other coaches. Another coach at the Division I level is like, hey, are you here watching, I don't even remember the kid's name, to be honest with you. You're watching this kid. And I was like, yeah, I heard about it. Yeah. Halfway through the game, I actually text Vince, wherever Vince is at, and I said, do you know who this kid is? He's not in the packet. He's number 35 on the blue team. He is playing harder than anybody else on the court. I've seen him O-board. I've seen him take a charge. He dove out of bounds after a basketball. I got to find out who this kid is. The kid I was there to watch, he goes up, gets fouled on a shot. Ref calls a foul. His teammate goes up to give him 5. He's mad. He blows his teammate off. Later on in the game, I watch him go to the bench. Coach tries to talk to him, blows his coach off, goes to the bench. By halftime, I was done watching that kid. scratched off the list. He had the shot, he had the bounce, he had the skill set, all that stuff. The kid, 35, we were the only other Division II school that offered him. There were two of us. He had some Division III NWAC level recruitment. We're not there yet. He has a chance to start for us this year as a redshirt freshman. There's not a doubt in my mind that kid ends up all conference by his junior year, maybe by his sophomore year. High character, high motor, mentally tough. Watched him play the rest of that summer, saw those three things, got to know him, found out more about him, found out more about the toughness, the character, the motor. So we got to have him. That's our guy. So you got to be good enough, but being good enough's not the end of the story. You get crossed off the list for lacking those intangibles. You get circled, highlighted. We want to recruit him for having those intangibles. You guys follow me on that? I'm going to brag a little bit because I'm a recruiter, so I got to sell a little bit, right? In this process, we're going into our third year. Last year, we won 20 games. That's more games than NNU's won at the Division II level since they became Division II in 2001 or 2002 or whatever. We had the Player of the Year in the conference. Beat a Division I school. We're not there yet. We were ranked in the top 25 nationally 4 different times. We were in that first NCAA Division II, works just like Division I. We were one of the first 4 teams out, really the first 2 teams out of the NCAA tournament. So we had a great year, best year NNU's had. Not good enough. Not good enough for us. I know for me, in our program, I look in the mirror with our program, and we're not there yet. We're not done yet. We're still out there recruiting high character, high motor, mentally tough high school kids to try to build this program into a national powerhouse. That's our goal. That's where we're headed. So when you're out there playing, know that your motor, your toughness, and your character is getting evaluated. On the court, off the court, it's getting evaluated. And you get scratched off a list quickly for lacking. But also know when you're out there and you look in the mirror, maybe you play in a game and it doesn't go the way you want it to, or you don't make the team you want in 3 weeks, or you go through this season and you don't have the statistics you want, look in the mirror and know I'm not done yet. I'm still in progress. And I'm going to attack the next day. I'm going to attack the next 7 days. And don't look past that. I'm going to attack the next 7 days, and I'm going to drain the most out of those 7 days that I can. And then I'll get the next 7 after that. And know you have plenty of time. Even you guys in your senior year right now, know you have plenty of time to keep hammering away, keep getting better at this game. You got me?
Yes, Coach.
Like 12?
Oscars, I would have started the music about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, all right. It was like that was like 12.